the most extraordinary embodiment of loyalty and justice. They carried the severed head to Sengokuji Temple, where Lord Asano was buried. There, they laid it before his grave and offered prayers. Their mission was complete. But they knew what awaited them. By law, they were criminals who had defied the shogunate. The next day, they surrendered themselves. The shogun faced a difficult choice. To execute them as criminals would dishonor their extraordinary loyalty. To pardon them would undermine the law. In the end, he chose a path between. The 47 Ronin were ordered to die by seppuku. And so, one by one, they did, calmly, with dignity, and without regret. Chapter 8, Legacy of the Ronin. The story of the 47 Ronin spread like wildfire. Across Japan, people wept, sang, and wrote poems in their honor. They were no longer disgraced warriors but heroes who had proven that loyalty was worth more than life itself. At Sengokuji Temple, their graves still stand, visited by thousands each year. Offerings of incense and flowers are left in their memory, a reminder that honor never dies. To this day, the tale is retold in countless plays, books, and films. It remains the ultimate example of Bushido, the way of the warrior. Because in the end, this story is not just about vengeance. It is about devotion, patience, and sacrifice. A reminder that true honor does not fade, even in the face of death.